We're at the Beach House Grill for the Coors Light. Steve Fairchild, Coach's Show. Welcome, everybody. Brian Roth with you, the voice of the Rams, as we get set to talk a little Colorado State Ram football with you coming up here in the next hour. Of course, we'll be joined by the head coach, Steve Fairchild, here momentarily. Get some of his thoughts from the game this past Saturday. The Rams on the road again. This time they were in Oxford, Ohio, and they would fall on the road to the University of Miami of Ohio. Final score in that 31-10. Some positives, though, to take out of that contest. That Ram defense really stepped up and played well, atoned themselves from the week before the game against Nevada. Also, that Ram offense, boy, they finally get that elusive touchdown. Colorado State scored in the final couple minutes of that contest for their first touchdown of the year, and Colorado State certainly hoping that that is going to spark them coming into this week. Well, we mentioned the Rams. They have not yet been home this year. That'll all change. Coming up on Saturday afternoon, the Rams will entertain the Vandals of Idaho. It'll be the first game at Sunny Lubick Field at Hughes Stadium here this year. And, of course, it's the Orange Out. It's the Ag Day Orange Out game. The Rams host Idaho, and the team will be wearing those special orange jerseys to pay tribute to CSU's Aggie heritage. Limited edition Aggie orange merchandise still available. Go to CSURams.com for that and the CSU bookstores. The Rams and the Vandals coming up Saturday at 2. Tickets still available. Call 1-800-491-RAMS or visit CSURams.com for tickets. It's the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coach's Show. We'll hear from the coach coming up next. First this time out from Nelligan Sports and the Colorado State Sports Network. Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coach's Show tonight at Old Town Ford Collins. We're at the Beach House Grill as we talk Ram football, leading you up until 7:30. If you want to get on board, you certainly can do so. 1-866-702-7691. That's the telephone number. Again, 1-866-702-7691. Happy to be joined by the coach of the Colorado State Rams, Coach Steve Fairchild. And Steve, thanks so much for joining us. And you know, we'll talk a little bit about the Miami game, but, boy, we're going to be talking about a game in which you're going to play at home coming up this week.
Well, it sure is good to finally have a home game. We're going into our fourth game of the year, and this is the first time we'll be playing at Hughes, and I know our players and coaches, everybody's really excited to get out there. They really like that atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. The Rams, again, opened up with technically a home game at Invesco Field against Colorado, but have not played at Hughes Stadium until this coming Saturday when they take on Idaho. Looking back at the Miami of Ohio game, and it was a 31-10 Red Hawk victory over the Rams. Colorado State falls to 0-3, but you look at that game, I thought the defense really atoned for some of their mistakes the week before. I know competition has a little bit to do with it, but I thought they played well.
They really did. That was the first time all year where we were getting consistent pressure on the quarterback. I think we had 5 sacks, a number of tackles for losses. So there were some real positives defensively. I thought we did a nice job at stints on third down, and we certainly tackled much better than we had in the previous games. So, you know, you can see some strides coming defensively. I thought even special teams, you know, with all the trickery that they do, I thought we played very aware, very alert on special teams. And other than the one muff punt, I thought our special teams played pretty solid. Just we continue to struggle on the offense side of the ball, and you know, it starts with our run game, and we're just not able to function like we need to in that area. And but we'll continue to work at it, and I'm sure we'll hit our stride here.
Yeah, I'll talk about the offense in a sec, but you mentioned the 4 sacks and the 16 tackles for losses in that contest. What did you see as one of the big differences last week in the defense against Miami, Ohio, compared to Nevada?
Well, it's a little bit different scheme in that the quarterback's going to be dropping back, and you know where he's going to be, and you know, and it wasn't so much option assignment football, so at times you can tee off. You know, and we played better on first and second down. We had them in some third down situations where it allows you to make some calls. Larry Kirk can make some calls to get after the quarterback, whereas if it's always second and, you know, or third and 2, third and 3, then it's a little more difficult. So, you know, top to bottom, it was a step forward defensively. We still got a long way to go, but anytime you can get the ball carrier down behind the line of scrimmage as many times as we did, it's a real positive.
Redshirt freshman Ezra Thompson, the safety out of the Chicago area, got his first career start, ended up with 7 tackles. I thought he played well.
He really played well. He's an example of, you know, that redshirt freshman class. He's coming into his own, starting to learn his way around a little bit. He played solid, and there are a number of real good personal, efforts there on the defense side of the ball.
Yeah, without question. Meanwhile, your offense, you throw for 300 yards in the game, but you mentioned the rushing attack. How do you get that ground game going?
Well, we just got to keep plugging away. We juggled some aligned positions up this week in practice. We'll continue to plug away. It's running the ball is not rocket science. It's just getting on guys, covering up defenders, and a back taking a proper track and hitting it with some authority. So, we're stumbling around a little bit. There's no question about it. But we've always run the ball good here, and I'm quite sure we're going to do that again here soon.
Yeah, I know Miami of Ohio had an improved defense from last year, but were you surprised you weren't able to run the football more effectively?
Yeah, I was a little bit. I thought going in we'd be able to, pound it around pretty good. I thought we had a physical advantage in some areas, but again, we broke down a little bit in assignments, which normally has not been happened at any time since I've been here. We did some things to shoot ourselves in the foot, and it's offensively, you can't have 10 guys doing the right thing and one guy not, because you just turn the guy loose at that point. And that happened a couple times, and we got whipped a few times. But again, I like the talent level up front. I know we've got some good backs, and we'll get this thing going.
Yeah. You mentioned the offensive line, and you guys are moving some things around. Weston Richburg, one of your really true talents. I know it's a guy that you really like, redshirt freshman. Moved from guard to center, and he was a guy that probably could have started the year at center, couldn't have been?
Well, he in the offensive line now, you try to find, obviously, your starting five, and then you'd like to get that sixth, seventh, eighth guy and roll them in so everybody can play a bunch of different positions. Guards can play center, and tackles can go from weak tackle to strong tackle and so forth. So Weston's been playing some center for us all through camp, and I think that's a natural position for him. I think he's got a bright future there, and he certainly earned the right to go in and start.
Now, did I hear you say that he played some center in the last two games?
He played definitely in the Nevada game. He was a center, and all through camp we were repping him as well as some other guys in there.
Talk to me a little bit about chemistry along that offensive line, because it's not a matter of just throwing five guys out there. Those guys have to be probably as cohesive as any unit on the offensive side. Huh?
There's probably more communication that goes on during a game between those five guys and a tight end that probably more than any other spot. And, defense has to communicate quite a bit, and the quarterback's got to do some things. But those five guys every play are identifying the look they see. And when you think about it, the average fan looks at a football game on a TV screen or through the quarterback's eyes standing up. But if you ever really picture yourself as an offensive lineman, you're down in the stance and you just see a little structure of defense. You might only see three or four guys, and it takes all along the line to communicate who's who and how you're going to approach that structure. So it is important to get the same five in there working together, but again, we want to develop depth, and we want to develop into getting the best five on the field.
Now, Richburg moves from guard to center, and you have Joe Capriolio that's going to fill in for him, and he's a guy that's seen the field a lot this year.
Yeah, Joe's really a tackle. Joe's probably at some point in his career going to be a starting tackle for us. But right now he's going to bump down into guards, and we've got a number of young kids that are that way. I'm really excited about this true freshman class in the offensive line. There's a couple of 380-pound benchers right out of high school, 300-plus pound kids that are tall and rangy. And again, you can take a guy like, a Jared Baird or somebody and move them inside. They could be a guard perhaps down the road. You're always looking for combinations to get your best five in there and develop, some depth.
Yeah, and one more point on that before we go to break. It's not easy for a kid to come out of high school and play right away at Division I at that offensive line. I mean, is that the hardest position to make the adjustment?
Probably that and quarterback are as difficult to play as a true freshman. So, but we're young and but talented, and that's the good point.
1-866-702-7691. That's the telephone number if you want to hop on board and ask the coach a question. We'll take a timeout. Plenty more to come here from Old Town Fort Collins. We're live at the Beach House Grill on the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show.